How can you remove government influence from your life? Find out in this episode. What's in the news with stories on a politician in the trash, police accessing DNA databases, cop attacks a quadruple amputee, Georgia executes a man without looking at all the evidence, Trump vape ban on hold, Massachusetts vape ban forfeiture, and annoying a cop is now illegal. Finally, an Ask Me Anything segment where I answer your questions on the difference in state and government, doing anarchist things. Was Marvin Heemeyer justified in his actions? Would I vote for secession? And how to build up Agorist communities. This episode is brought to you by Health Excellence Plus, a Hellshare that has saved my family thousands of dollars and can save you money too. Also brought to you by ForkFest, the annual decentralized Libertarian camping event that happens around PorcFest, with no tickets and no one in charge. Also brought to you by all of my dozens of supporters.
Welcome to The Lava Flow, channeling the flow of information to the Libertarian, Anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and Agorist community. Find us at thelavaflow.com. Here's your host, Roger Paxton.
Thank you for joining me this week. From the home state of Sarah Hale, who persuaded Lincoln to declare the fourth Thursday in November a national day of Thanksgiving in 1863, this is the show where I shoot from the lip to bring you the people, places, and events that everyone in the Liberty Rebellion needs to know. You can catch me on Twitter at The Lava Flow Pod. This is episode 145, Void the State. And it's Tuesday, November 19th, 2019, when there have already been more than 783 people killed by police this year, and the United States debt clock shows us at more than $23 trillion, $50 billion, $400 million in debt. What's wrestling my jimmies this week? You're about to find out. Let's do it to it. You know, I get asked all the time how to remove as much government from your lives as possible. As a matter of fact, in the AMA Ask Me Anything segment this week, there is just such a question. Make sure to hang around towards the end of this episode to hear that one. One thing I always say when asked that question is to reduce your need to use government products and services. The biggest one that fits this category is to reduce your use of Federal Reserve notes and other government fiat money. This brings me to an article that I've hung on to for a couple of months now. It's not dated information, so it's something I knew I would want to talk about eventually. What better time to do it than now? The article comes from Roger Vere's news.bitcoin.com site and is titled, Bitcoin is a Viable Way to Remove the State from Your Life. Hell yeah. That's a title I can get behind. And, I agree with this sentiment 100%. The article says, the last decade has seen central banks print trillions of dollars. Governments have grown much larger. Wars continue with no end. And ordinary citizens are taxed even more. Thankfully, there are individuals and small pockets of people all around the world who believe something is wrong. Many of these people have a plan to help end the illegitimacy of the nation-states. Whether it be through protests, unschooling, and spreading stateless education, there are various methods available in this day and age. Bitcoin and the crypto economy are also great forms of protest, providing an experiment of voluntary trade in an untaxed, unregulated economy. Despite the negativity stemming from the failures of governments worldwide, some people have a strategy to fight back. As the years have progressed, bureaucrats have continued to plunder the everyday lives of billions of people worldwide. They wage wars, devalue currencies, and cause inflation. The state, including corporations, pollute and perpetuate violence on a regular basis. Even though things look bleak, there are people fostering a slow evolution toward a free society. Various methods and tools can be used to build a comprehensive plan that removes the state from every individual's life. One of the tools that's being used to achieve more liberty is Satoshi's Bitcoin and a wide variety of other digital currencies born afterward. Using a digital currency can remove the state from economic equations and bypass intrusive bureaucracies. When Satoshi unleashed the network in January of 2009, the creator gave people an alternative to the state's tender and the ability to remove ourselves from the global banking system. Cryptocurrencies have been around for over 10 years now, and they have provided individuals and organizations with the ability to pull value away from the corrupt monetary system the world's bureaucrats have created. Alternative monetary systems can make the nation-state's filthy fiat money irrelevant. With some determination and good operational security, OPSEC, anyone can transact with cryptocurrencies in a private manner. Over time, individuals can create a better financial system that's both anti-establishment but also develops tenets towards a strong counter-economy. All it takes to join this sub-economy is some effort and a passionate drive toward freedom. In April 2014, Bitcoin Not Bombs founder Davi Barker explained in a Daily Anarchist blog post that the counter-economy is the most efficient tactic against the state, writing, "The key to putting both feet in the counter-economy is taking the initiative, soliciting feedback, and making a profit. Agorism provides the most sustainable activist strategies because it's rooted in the market, not in the political system." It may take a while for the counter-economy to defeat the state, but it's wielding more strength every day. Satoshi's invention has, at the very least, shown the world that there are alternatives to this manipulated monetary system. There are lots of people who believe Nakamoto was a libertarian who gave the world a new tool to fight against the status quo. Satoshi said in November 2008, "We will not find a solution to political problems in cryptography, but we can win a major battle in the arms race and gain a new territory of freedom for several years. Governments are good at cutting off the heads of centrally controlled networks like Napster, but pure P2P networks like Nutella and Tor seem to be holding their own." Cryptocurrencies derive their value and power from voluntary consumers, while the state takes its power from stealing from nonviolent consumers that they call citizens. Without continued support from consumers, the state and its monetary system will eventually fall apart. All people have to do is convince enough individuals to support the counter-economy. I'm a huge proponent of agorism and cryptocurrencies, and I have been for years. But when you put them together, it is yet another tool that can help remove government influence in your life. I'm all about anything that removes that influence, and I practice both agorism and the usage of cryptocurrencies on a regular basis. I made several crypto purchases this week and did 2 gigs for crypto payment as well. If you want to free yourself from government, first and foremost, you have to stop using their money. As long as you use the money that they control, they have 100% control over you.
What's in the news? The news you need to know from a libertarian perspective.
In How to Treat Politicians news, Vitaly Zurovsky, a member of the Economic Development Party in Kiev, Ukraine, is full of rubbish today, as an angry mob tossed the neatly dressed lawmaker into a trash can, doused him with water, and throwing more trash on top of him. Zurovsky has a history of authorizing bills placing restrictions on anti-government protests and criminalizing libel. So the mob, who was having just such an anti-government protest in front of Ukraine's parliament building, did not take kindly to him restricting their rights. There's a video of the entire event at the link that you can find at thelavaflow.com/145. It's pretty fucking funny to watch. Now, clearly, they are assaulting this man, and of course I don't support that, but it's still funny to watch. It makes me yearn for the days when our forefathers used to tar and feather politicians here in the U.S. Oh, the good old days. In judicial misconduct news, with a single warrant, a Florida detective obtained access to the DNA profiles of more than 1 million people, and experts say that this case sets a dangerous precedent. In May, GED Match changed its policies so that law enforcement officials could only search the profiles of people who opted into such searches, which GED Match co-founder Curtis Rogers recently told the New York Times about 185,000 users have done so. But Detective Michael Fields decided to ask a Florida judge to grant him a warrant that would override that new policy, allowing him to search GED Match's entire database, including users who had not opted in. And Judge Patricia Stowbridge did just that, the detective announced at a recent police convention. Legal experts said that this appears to be the first time that a judge has approved a DNA website warrant this broad, with New York University law professor Aaron Murphy calling it a huge game changer. Yeah, no shit. Murphy said, The company made a decision to keep law enforcement out, and that's been overridden by a court. It's a signal that no genetic information can be safe. GED Match is far from the biggest consumer DNA site. However, by granting Fields his warrant, which he said has resulted in some new leads for his case but no arrests, the judge may have set a precedent that makes the DNA of tens of millions of people searchable by law enforcement, whether they agree to the searches or not. Murphy said, "I have no question in my mind that if the public isn't outraged by this, law enforcement agencies will go to the mother lode, the 15 million person ancestry database. Why play in the peanuts when you can go to the big show?" I mean, look, talk about a non-specific warrant. Isn't this the sort of shit that our forefathers beat the shit out of the British over? And cops and judges wonder why public opinion is against them these days. It's certainly not because they're serving and protecting. As most of you know, I was laid off from my 9-to-5 director of IT job last summer. Among the many terrifying things about losing your job is losing your health benefits. Our family went about 6 months without any kind of health insurance, and the anxiety and worry that came along with that was not insignificant. But after spending dozens of hours researching our options and quickly rejecting the $2,000 a month price tag that came with the options available with traditional insurance, we found Health Excellence Plus, a Hellshare that was a fraction of the cost, and we're glad we did. Only a few weeks after joining as members of this Hellshare program, my wife was diagnosed with a common skin cancer that requires an expensive procedure to remove the cancer and another surgery to repair the damage done from the cancer removal. When this is all said and done, Health Excellence Plus will have saved our family thousands of dollars, and I'll bet they can save you money too. Health Excellence Plus is a Hellshare that meets the requirements of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. A Hellshare is a community of like-minded, health-focused members who have joined together to share each other's medical costs above an amount they can comfortably afford. A Hellshare is not traditional health insurance. It is designed to be a catastrophic coverage for major items, like my wife's surgery. The cost of an average family insurance policy for a primary 45 years old with a $5,000 deductible is $1,450 per month. A Health Excellence Plus $500 initial and shareable amount with a healthcare strategy is only $783. Get started saving money today at thelavaflow.com/health. That's thelavaflow.com/health. In Bad Boys news, an Arizona deputy pinned a quadruple amputee to the ground and then arrested the teen who filmed it. What the actual fuck? I mean, if this weren't so disturbing, I would say that this had to be something out of a comedy movie script, right? A disturbing video shows an Arizona sheriff's deputy wrestling a quadruple amputee, age 15, just before arresting both the young man and the 16-year-old who recorded the incident. Joel Feynman is head of the Pima County Public Defender's Office, which represented both of the teens arrested in the September incident. According to Feynman, the Pima County Sheriff's Department was responding to a disorderly conduct call at a group home. The amputee, who had been abandoned by his parents, had knocked over a trash can and was yelling. Feynman said he was acting out because he wanted to return to school. The video, which Feynman's office provided to the local TV channel KOLD, shows a deputy pinning the teen to the ground, first with his body and then with his arm. The amputee screams for the deputy to get off, and the deputy eventually lets him go. After righting himself, the deputy asks the teen what his problem is. The teen replies that he didn't have one, and that the only thing he did was knock a trash can over. While the deputy expresses his frustration at the teen's decision to continue to move, the teen asks him to lower his voice. The deputy bends over the teen and shouts, "I will raise my voice whenever the fuck I want." At this moment, the teen behind the camera intervenes, telling the deputy that the teen on the ground has already answered the question. The deputy redirects his ire and says, "Shut the hell up. Are you involved in this?" The deputy tells the second teen to go to his room, as if the cop has the authority to do that. What the fuck? The teen says he's not allowed. The deputy then approaches him and asks him multiple times, "Am I talking to you?" The second teen responds that he doesn't care who the deputy is addressing. The deputy briefly exits the space, and the second teen hands the camera to someone else. The recording continues long enough to capture two deputies placing handcuffs on the second teen. At one point, the deputies slam his head against the wall. He is then escorted outside. Both young men were charged with disorderly conduct. The county attorney's office has since informed Feynman later that the charges have been dismissed. Feynman says, "It's horrific. Men with badges and guns should not be acting this way." Absolutely. He adds that those who do conduct themselves in such a way should not have badges and guns. Man, this guy really gets it. The Sheriff's Department Code of Conduct requires that all of its employees bear in mind that persons having business with the Sheriff's Department are entitled to courteous and respectful consideration. Department members shall perform their duties efficiently and completely, avoiding harsh, violent, profane, or insolent language, and shall remain calm regardless of provocation. As if any fucking cop could do any of that. Look, what's the point of having a fucking code of conduct when your people aren't going to follow it anyway? And I guarantee you that there will be almost no punishment for this ball bag acting this way, even though the department says an internal investigation is underway. The government, as usual, will find that the government did nothing wrong and should not be punished by the government. In legal murder news, a man has been executed in the U.S. state of Georgia despite a request from his lawyers for DNA evidence which they claimed would clear him of murder. This is eerily reminiscent of the case that I brought to you last week of the man in Texas facing execution with DNA evidence that would likely exonerate him being untested. Ray Jefferson Cromartie was convicted of the April 1994 shooting of shop worker Richard Slice at a convenience store in the city of Thompsonville. Prosecutors said that the 52-year-old had shot delicatessen worker Dan Wilson in the face 3 days before the killing, seriously injuring him. Cromartie, who had long denied that he pulled the trigger, was executed with a lethal injection of pentobarbital at Georgia's state prison in Jackson, after the state's Supreme Court rejected 2 appeals by the inmates' attorneys. The attorneys had requested state and federal courts to allow DNA testing of evidence collected from the crime scenes, which they said would prove Cromartie was not the shooter. All of these were denied by the judges. In a statement after Cromartie's execution, his lawyer Sean Nolan said that this was sad and, frankly, outrageous. He said, "In this day and age, where DNA testing is routine, it is shocking that Georgia decided to end this man's life without allowing us, his attorneys, access to the materials to do these simple tests." Come on, man. This is just fucking gross. A man's life should never be taken, unless in the act of protecting someone from that man. And it should certainly not be taken by the state without 100% of the evidence 100% checked out. Period. The state of Georgia murdered this man, plain and fucking simple. And an update on the Reid case in Texas that I mentioned a minute ago. Thanks to massive pressure, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals ordered an indefinite stay of execution for Rodney. But he is still in jail, and there will apparently be a new trial, it seems. I will continue to update you on this case as more information comes out. I had the awesome pleasure of joining liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians for the 3rd annual ForkFest in June in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire, and I had a blast. I've now been to all 3 ForkFests, and I don't plan on missing a single one. This year, the event at least tripled in size from last year, with tons more people there and several food vendors. ForkFest is a decentralized camping event where no one is in charge. This means there is no ticket cost to attend the event. This also means that you are free to create whatever experience or event you want or would like others to enjoy. You can connect with other ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum at the unofficial website forkfest.party. That's forkfest.party. Keep an eye out for the dates for next year's event, which will likely be in late June. I hope to see you at ForkFest next year. In some good news, under pressure from his political advisors and lobbyists to factor in the potential pushback from his supporters, Trump has resisted moving forward with any action on vaping, while saying that he still wants to study the issue. Sounds to me like he's going to kick the can down the road, and I could not be happier about that. Even a watered-down ban on flavored e-cigarettes that exempted menthol, which was widely expected, appears to have been set aside for now. On a flight on November 4th, while traveling to a political rally in Kentucky, Trump was swayed by the advisors who warned him of political repercussions to any sweeping restrictions. Reviewing talking points on the ban aboard the plane with advisors, Trump decided to cancel the administration's rollout of the announcement, which included a news conference that Alex Elmazar II, the Health and Human Services Secretary, was planning to hold on the issue the very next day. Instead, another meeting was proposed. On November 11th, Trump tweeted that he would be meeting with representatives of the vaping industry, together with medical professionals and individual state representatives, to come up with an acceptable solution to the vaping and e-cigarette dilemma. Dilemma? What's the fucking dilemma? Unless he's talking about the government laws and regulations against cannabis that cause the black market vapes to injure and kill people. That's the only dilemma, and the solution to that is for the government to step the fuck out of the way. E-cigarette users have held protests outside the White House and outside Trump rallies that they may have attended under other circumstances. Protesters have also raised concerns about the potential closing of thousands of vape shops, which they said would hurt the economy and cost jobs across the country. And of course it would. Now look, guys, make no mistake about it. This is a win for the country. This means that they are going to regulate some products less than they were planning to. I'll take that. In related news, the Massachusetts House of Representatives approved a bill that would ban flavored e-cigarettes, impose a 75% excise tax on electronic nicotine delivery systems, including e-liquids as well as devices, and authorize forfeiture of cars driven by vapors caught with untaxed products. The House approved H. 4183 by a vote of 127 to 31, and the state Senate is expected to consider it this week. An emergency ban that Governor Charlie Baker imposed on all vaping products in September will expire on December 24th. The bill permanently bans flavored tobacco products, including menthol cigarettes, as well as vaping liquids that taste or smell like anything other than tobacco. It does not apply to hookah bars or marijuana vapes. The new bill says, a person who knowingly purchases or possesses an electronic nicotine delivery system not manufactured, purchased, or imported by a licensed electronic nicotine delivery system distributor or licensed electronic nicotine delivery system retailer shall be subject to a civil penalty of not more than $5,000 for the first offense and not more than $25,000 for a second or subsequent offense. But that's not even the worst of it. The bill also says a police officer who discovers an untaxed electronic nicotine delivery system in the possession of a person who is not a licensed or commissioned or authorized electronic nicotine delivery system distributor may seize both the product and the receptacle in which it is found, including but not limited to a motor vehicle, boat, or airplane in which the electronic nicotine delivery systems are contained or transported. Such property shall be turned over to the Commissioner of Revenue and shall be forfeited to the Commonwealth. The Commissioner may then sell the seized property and deposit the proceeds in the general fund. Dan Albin, a senior attorney for the Institute for Justice, who's been fighting forfeiture abuse for years, was astonished by this provision. He said, "This is completely insane and endangers the property rights of everyone in Massachusetts. Even if you don't have an untaxed electronic nicotine delivery system, are you going to search every passenger in your vehicle? It is as though someone wanted to highlight the indefensibility of forfeiture by reductio ad absurdum. Does receptacle include a house as well? I mean, come on, this is just insanity. Fuck the state of Massachusetts in the neck with an untaxed electronic nicotine delivery system." In immoral laws news, the act of annoying a police officer could become a crime in a New York county. Under a proposal approved by the Monroe County Legislature, anyone who annoys, alarms, or threatens the personal safety of an officer could face up to a year in jail and up to a $5,000 fine. The measure was passed 17-10 on Tuesday and will also apply to first responders. The county executive will now hold a public hearing and decide whether to pass this bill into law. However, civil rights groups have warned that the bill could have a chilling effect on interactions between the police and the public. Iman Abid, a spokesperson for the New York Civil Liberties Union, said, Members of the community have every right to challenge police officers, particularly those that engage in unnecessary behavior. Roger breaking here, just like that cop that attacked and pinned down the quadruple amputee. At a time when more accountability of police departments is needed, this law takes us incredibly backward. Dolores Jones Brown, a professor of the John Lay College of Criminal Justice, said the statute was overbroad and unconstitutionally vague. She warned officers could be annoyed by a person who asks for their badge number or records their actions on a phone. Look, every decent person should make it their mission to annoy as many police officers as possible, especially when those police officers are in the act of annoying people for no reason. I know I work really hard to do this anytime I get pulled over or a cop comes to my house to serve paperwork over a $10 a year dog tax. I would love to go to jail over this law one day and fight it all the way up the chain. If this does become final law, I hope that someone will certainly do so.
Ask me anything. Roger will answer your questions about, well, anything. Do you have a question for Roger? Email ama@thelavaflow.com or add your question to the latest AMA thread in the Pax Libertas Productions Facebook group.
It's that time again. I'm going to answer your burning questions. Remember, you can ask me your question by adding it to the thread that I post in the Pax Libertas Productions Podcast Fans Facebook group or by emailing me at ama@thelavaflow.com. Or if you are awesome as fuck and you support this show, you can ask me your question in the Lava Flow Super Supporters Facebook group or in Patreon. So let's jump into the questions. The first question this week comes from LW. He asks, is there a difference between a state and a government? Well, LW, this to me is a tough one. First, can a state exist without a government? Not really. I mean, it's the government that defines the borders of a state, for example. Without a government to define the state, it would not exist for long and would break up. Can a government exist without a state, though? This one is even more difficult to answer. Does one consider the United Nations a government? I do. This means that it's a government without a single state, but it could be looked at as a government with several states, I suppose. In theory, though, I guess you could have a government without a state, although I've never heard of one. Either way, I don't think that we need a government or a state. Both are arbitrary constructs that only exist because our rulers have deemed them so. Thanks for the question, LW. J. Mike asks, hey, I love the podcast. It's exactly what I was looking for. Now I just need a way to channel these new emotions that come with information like this. So my question would be, what are some ways that anarchists can do anarchist things? Do we just put up signs with the Blue Lives Matter flag and a big red circle slash through it? I also would like to hear the whole spectrum, from posting anarchist stuff online to organizing and getting close to the stereotype of an anarchist. You know, J. Mike, the best anarchist thing that you can possibly do is live your life to your own fulfillment, on your own terms, and without the need for government. That is number one. Of course, this is nearly impossible, since our daily lives generally require us to use monopoly government roads, for example. Other than that, I take steps to avoid government as much as humanly possible, and I stop asking their permission for anything. For example, I didn't pull a permit on our chicken run, even though it is required by my town law. We still haven't paid for the $10 dog license this year, and the cops haven't been by for months to bug us about it. I don't vote. You will never catch me begging our masters for more bones and scraps from their kitchen table. I annoy the government whenever I can in any way that I can. I buy and sell products and services using cryptocurrencies, barter, gold and silver, or other forms of non-government fiat money every chance that I get. Put your money where your mouth is. Instead of relying on government to provide forced, stolen charity, give your time or money to voluntary charities and charities that don't take government handouts. You can also either find or build a community of like-minded people, like Jess and I did here in the Free Coast of New Hampshire. Finding this group was a huge help for us. And another big one, live your life as self-sustaining as possible. Now, I understand that not everyone can start a backyard homestead like we have. I get that. But everybody can grow something, even in an apartment. Everyone can store food and water for emergencies. Everyone can buy local foods from local sellers. And finally, lower your tax burden so the government is stealing less of your money to use it to rob and kill people. Of course, this is not an exhaustive list, but it's a pretty good place to start. These are all things that my wife and I do or have done over the last several years specifically to reduce government in our lives. I'm sure there are others that I'm forgetting, but that's a good start. Good luck, J. Mike. The next question comes from John C. He asks, Marvin Heemeyer, do you think he was justified in what he did in Granby? Thanks for the question. For those of you that are unfamiliar with this case, Heemeyer had feuded with Granby, Colorado officials over fines that he received for violating city health ordinance when he was forced to dump sewage due to zoning disputes with a next-door concrete plant. His feud came to a head on June 4, 2004. Over about 18 months, Heemeyer had secretly modified a bulldozer by adding layers of steel and concrete, intended to serve as armor. He used this to demolish the Granby Town Hall, the former mayor's house, and several other buildings. Heemeyer's rampage concluded with his suicide after his bulldozer became trapped in the basement of a hardware store that he had been in the process of destroying. The attack lasted for 2 hours and 7 minutes, damaged 13 buildings, knocked out natural gas services to City Hall and the concrete plant, damaged a truck, and destroyed part of a utility service center. Despite the great damage to property, no one besides Heemeyer was killed. The damage was estimated at $7 million. While his destruction of private property was much lower than it was of public property, he still did damage quite a bit of private property, and he put many lives at risk. Heemeyer had installed 2 rifles and firing ports on the inside of the bulldozer and fired 15 bullets from his rifle at power transformers and propane tanks. If those had gone off, it could have caused injury to innocent bystanders. Residents of a senior citizens complex were within such a range. And apparently 11 of the 13 buildings that Heemeyer bulldozed were occupied until moments before their destruction. Also, in his handwritten list of targets, it included the local Catholic church, which he wasn't able to damage before he got stuck. His list also included the names of people who had sided against him in past disputes. Now look, I completely understand Heemeyer's frustration with government. This was absolutely, though, not the way to handle it. Escalating violence, destroying private property, and putting innocent bystanders in danger is inexcusable. Thanks for the question, John. David K. asks 2 questions. First, would you vote in a referendum for secession? If so, are there other votes that you would consider? How do you justify that vote compared to other votes? I got a lot of grief for expressing that I would not vote in the recent Canadian election. This was especially true since I organized for the PPC in the beginning. You changed my mind on anarchism and voting. I'll gladly catch more grief for it. Thanks for the question, David, and no, I would not vote in a referendum for secession. I am done asking my masters for rights and privileges. You will never see me vote in any government election ever again. Now, while I applaud secession votes like in Catalonia and Brexit, you see where that's led. Exactly nowhere so far. People have been attacked by government, attacked by people on the opposing side of the vote, and generally in an uproar over these votes. And neither secession has happened yet. And I don't think either will, personally. People get their knickers in a wad when they think that they may lose some of their precious government. It is truly the most dangerous superstition. But as Wendy McElroy penned in her article titled, Why I Wouldn't Vote Against Hitler, I wouldn't even cast a vote for that. You can listen to an audio version of her excellent article at essentiallibertarianism.com/27. David's second question is, what are some of the best ways to spread the ideas of liberty locally? Any tips for building agorist communities up? David, one thing you could try is a don't vote campaign. I've considered doing this myself in our area. I would do this by going to polling places and holding signs that say things like, don't vote, and only encourages the bastards, and other witty slogans, and handing out anti-voting literature that really breaks down the argument easily for people to read. But frankly, I'm a lazy bastard, and I already have way too much on my many full plates, and I'm trying to spin them all at once, so I don't have time for this right now. As for agorism, my answer is, just do it. Read up on agorism and potential opportunities for agorism. Find such potentials in your area. Learn how to do things that could be an agorist trade. Stop using Federal Reserve notes as much as you can. Barter and trade. Find like-minded people in your area and invite them to buy and sell at a market somewhere unregulated. If you have room on your property to hold such a market, do it there. We do this in New Hampshire every couple of weeks when the weather's nice in various spots around the state. I love being able to go to a truly free market and get items that I need anyway without having the state involved. Guys, thank you all so much for all of your questions. Since I'm running low on questions again, I'll be posting this week looking for more questions, so make sure to be on the lookout for that so you can get your questions in. Or you can just email me your question at ama@thelavaflow.com. Thank you for listening to the show this week. As always, I need to thank my favorite chef, Jessica, for her help with the show. For the show notes to this episode, where I put links and other information that's been on this show, go to thelavaflow.com/145. I have a new supporter this week. Paul E. became a $25 per month supporter at thelavaflow.com/support. Thanks so much, Paul. So thanks to Paul and all of my awesome supporters, I'm at $243.75 per episode, or 48.75% of the way towards my next goal of $500 per episode. Guys, thank you for all of your support, really. I can't tell you how much it means to me. Remember, when I hit this next goal, I'm going to be upping the content I bring you from half an hour per week to a full hour. I know you want more content from me, and I want to give it to you. So add your pledge today to help me bring you twice the lava flow that you're getting today. So exercise your free market muscles by going to thelavaflow.com/support and giving a donation of as little as $1 a week using Federal Reserve notes through my site or using cryptocurrencies through Bitbacker. I want to be able to bring you more content soon, so make sure to add your donation today to help make that happen. I don't have any new reviews this week, but if you have a minute and you want to hear your review read right here on this show, please go to thelavaflow.com/Apple and leave me a rating and a review. All the cool kids are doing it. Thank you to everyone who has left me a rating and a review so far. You guys rock. To all of you who haven't, can you guys help me out and go leave a review for me? Go to thelavaflow.com/Apple to do that now. Until next time, keep striking the root.
Thank you for listening to The Lava Flow at thelavaflow.com. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe now at thelavaflow.com/subscribe. This has been a Pax Libertas Productions podcast.